Hey, everybody. How are we today? This is Tim Shaw, and where else are you? You're here with the Black Cat Lounge, and it's where the cool people are just hanging out tonight. We have a great show for you tonight. I'm thrilled to have this young lady on tonight. She's great. And what I love is I love people who are adventurers. I love people who have that spirit. I love people who get out there and have fun and really go and just sometimes push the limit. So tonight we're going to talk about that. But before we do, let me just tell you guys, I am just like hanging out, just enjoying the Yule season. Are you guys doing? What are you guys doing for Yule? I actually am just relaxing, and my wife Nancy has like decorated the entire house, and I've fought so that she doesn't come and decorate my haunted objects, because she likes to decorate. I think she has five. I believe she has five Christmas trees in our house. So, and as I walk through the house, it smells like gingerbread, and if Winnie the Wonder Dog gets to sit around a little bit too much, she'll have a bow on her head or something. That's just the way it is. So it's getting like very, very Christmassy, getting very, very Yuletide here in the Black Cat Lounge, which is great, Hey, Colette. Colette is a good friend from across the pond. It's always good to see you. Deb, how are you? It's good to see you. Jean, how are you? It's very, very good to see you. Listen, guys, I got to tell you what, we have, I'm not going to mince. I'm not going to mince a lot of words. Let me just go and tell everybody a little bit about our guest. Our guest is like super cool. She is like, well, when I think super cool, I think of this girl. That's the way it works. You know what? I've been following her. Yes, I have. I'm a stalker. I'll admit it. She's all over the place. And it's really amazing. I'm impressed with people who really are devoted and have such a love of this field that we're in, the paranormal field. This lady is a wanderer, a true road warrior. She is all over the place. I mean, I would hate to have a GPS tracker on her because she would be all over. Yeah, I couldn't keep up with her. But I'm very impressed by what she does. I'm very impressed by the quality of work she does. I'm very, very impressed by so much of what she puts out there. She's a YouTube sensation. What can I tell you? She's a paranormal influencer. I'm going to go that far. That's right. I'm going out on a limb. That's the way it works. But I really enjoy it. And you know what? Again, she's hardcore. That's what I like. She has so many facets to her. She really does. And, I got a chance to meet her finally at the Mansfield Reformatory. We were all hanging out. Dale Quigley was there, invited me down. Actually what happened is I had my thumb out and I said, I will do paranormal investigating for food. And my buddies Frank and Heather picked me up on the New York State Thruway and took me to Mansfield. So that's how I ended up at Mansfield. But anyway, this is where I met her and the amazing Nick, because Nick, I know you're watching. You're the best. You're the king. I'm just going to tell you that. And if she doesn't give you a crown for Christmas, I'm sorry. You need a crown, buddy. You need a crown to put up with that much road work. Anyway, she is seriously a hardcore investigator. She really, I love her solo stuff. I love that she just she's got projects. We're going to talk about some of the projects. We're going to talk about some basics. We're going to talk about something she has on the back burner, something that I'm really interested in. We're going to talk about maybe some negative stuff, because you know what happens? Too many people go out there and kind of bury that negative stuff. You guys all know how much I did in the past, working to clear it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, let me introduce to you someone who I really respect. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, and you guys know, if I say that I respect somebody, I really do. And I don't like to go and just make stuff up and make a guest feel good. I truly respect what she does. I respect her plans, and I really respect how she does things, because she is always live. What you see is what you get. And that to me is worth $1 billion. let's introduce the one and only, the Road Warrior. Matter of fact, she's going to flex her arms for us. The Road Warrior, Brie Hollingshead. Brie, how are you? And that's the girl. That's what I wanted to see. That's it. I was, you know what? I was going to go and I was going to get the theme, the classical gas on there, to introduce you, but that costs money. So you whatever was free on, on the internet. How are you, Brie? It's so great to see you again.
I'm doing great. How are you, Tim? This is so amazing to finally get a chance to talk to you like this.
Well, it was funny because when we were at Mansfield, we briefly met.
Yes.
And I mean, not that I like sit every day and like watch videos and watch TikTok and watch Instagram. I kind of limit myself to about, well, out of 24 hours, probably 18 hours a day doing that. But I mean, I've seen you and it was wild because, you came up and you introduced, I was like, and it's funny because it's, I love like when people come up to me and they introduce me and I know them from like the internet and I go, I'm like a fanboy, It's just like I don't know what to say. I get all embarrassed, but it was so great. And you guys were just coming off a man. You and Nick were just coming off a stent.
Yeah, yeah. 3 days and 2 nights at Bel Air. So for
Wow,
Friendsgiving collab with Bump in the Night Society. So I don't
wow,
think I slept. I know he slept a lot. He slept for me. So
that's amazing. I've never been there, and that's on my bucket list. So hopefully next year I'm going to actually get there because it's not all that far away from me.
yeah,
And it, I've heard so much stuff about it,
yeah.
and it's one of those things that when you go there, I heard that you have to spend more than one night. It's
Oh yeah.
like the house. I'm one of those guys that believes that these locations are alive,
Oh yeah.
and sometimes it's got to kind of get used to you. I know a lot of places got to kind of get you. People got to get used to me when they first meet me. Can you imagine the house? Oh, here he comes. Oh, that's all we want. But do you feel the same way about that?
I do. I feel like houses are living. Like it's insane. With Bel Air, it definitely felt alive. Like when I walk in, with me having abilities, like it can be overwhelming. And it's like you'll see me walk in and I stop in a doorway because
Yep.
I'm kind of like letting them like feel me as I'm feeling them. Like, like I'm letting the house be like, oh, it's Bree. We knew you were coming. Welcome. And then I'm like, hey, I'm here finally. But I'll go slowly through a house, like letting the house adjust to me. I'll even
Exactly.
like put my hands out so I can like feel the atmosphere a little bit better and let the house like feel myself too. Because homes are so different with the people that have lived in them. They've been lived in. They're not, we've got houses now that are used as paranormal, locations for research and for investigating, and nobody lives in them full time. They're constantly having different energy in and out of them, so they're absorbing that energy too. But they're living beings. They're like sentient beings, that I believe will call out to you, especially if you've made a connection with the spirits there, that they'll be like, hey,
Yes.
we want you back.
Yes.
um One of my absolute favorite places actually is Hinsdale. Like I felt such a connection to Hinsdale. Like that's probably one of my absolute favorite homes. Gave me my most terrifying experience ever, but like that doesn't scare, like it didn't scare me away. I do plan on going back. I've got plans to go back. I'm actually really excited about it. And
We'll talk
um
about that. We're going to
yeah,
talk
we
about
will.
that.
Yeah.
Listen, I got to ask you a question.
Yes.
I never, when I get a new guest on, I get all excited because, my sordid tale goes back to the 1970s when I first, of course, started getting into spiritualism and I was a little kid and I went to Lyceum and all that stuff in Lilydale and all that. Anyway, uh, I always am fascinated about how people get involved in this because you're not one of those people that really, oh gee, you know what? Oh, that looks cool. I think I'm going to try it. You're not that type of a person. You're a
No.
person that has a lot is a little bit deeper in your spirituality. And again, you're clairsentient. There's no doubt about it. And someday we'll sit down and we'll have a conversation, you and I, about some
Yes.
of this stuff. And what was it? that really brought you to the point of just being, and I'm not, you're not obsessed, which I
Right.
like. You, I mean, you do have like, you can speak on other aspects of life, but
Yeah.
what makes you so interested in this whole craziness, that this spiritual paranormal thing that we do?
Um, I mean, I could sit here and I can say that it goes back to my first experience when I was 6. I can sit here and say that I started my road trips when, I went through a divorce and I started finding who I am. But for me to do what I do, I feel like there's a lot of darkness in the paranormal, regardless of whether it's the paradrama or whatever. But I feel like there's been a dark light that's kind of like shrouded a lot of what I personally love. I love the fact that this is something that we don't know a lot about. I love the fact that um within the paranormal, there's so many what ifs. You can constantly be coming up with new ways to investigate, to hypothesize, to test your theories, and nobody's going to sit there, really should sit there and tell you, oh, you're wrong. We're all in this together. We're all going to do it differently, and it's a family, it's a camaraderie. But I feel like with what I do, I'm trying to bring the light and the love back into it, to bring the fun. It's been made to be such a, well, we got to do this and we have to have the numbers, and like a lot of people are really hard with, and they've taken the fun out of it. And so I love it. I'm like a little kid. You'll see me on investigations start giggling, and I'll be like, "Did you hear that noise?" Like, I've been dealing with this stuff since I was 6. Granted, I just started working in the paranormal field, June 30th of this year, but it should be exciting. It should be a passion, and I love it. And I feel like that love and that light of what we do needs to be brought to the forefront again. And people need to be reminded of why we're doing what we're doing. It's not just for that, real kick-ass EVP that nobody else got at the mysterious Monroe house in the kitchen. And I know some people that have gotten some amazing EVPs there. It's not just for that complete shadow figure that is caught in the asylum of Madison Seminary. It's not just for the REM pods going, completely apeshit in the middle of a portal. It's there's so much there that we need to be excited about, that we need to love. And the thought that, like, my mom passed away in 2005, a week before I gave birth to my middle son. And knowing that my mom is with me as I'm doing this, she's the one that instilled a lot of the love of history in me. And not just the history, but the haunting aspect. History and hauntings go hand in hand in a lot of aspects. And knowing that my mom is along on the ride with me, that, she's my co-pilot. If I don't have Nick and I'm being the passenger princess, it's my mom. Yeah, and it is fun to be scared. It's completely, I just saw Daniel comment, like, it is completely fun. And when you get that, you feel like you can't move, you can't breathe, you're terrified, and it's like it reminds you that you're alive. It reminds you of what you're doing.
Exactly.
And a lot of
Exactly.
people have forgotten that, and so I want to bring that back. I want people to enjoy it firsthand. And it's not heavily edited. It's not 5 days of investigating and condensed down into 45 pretty little minutes on a TV show, or edited to fit a YouTube hour series. You're along from start to finish with me when I'm doing my lives, and you get to experience it completely. And there's times where I've got my audience, even they're catching evidence that I'm not hearing, I'm not seeing, and they're pointing it out to me. So it's like they're investigating with me too, which makes it even more of a great experience with how I do what I do.
Too many people, and we talked a little bit about this off air. Too
Yeah.
many people. I'll just, I'll wait for you to. Okay, you're done drinking. My
Mhm.
favorite. Okay, my favorite saying is, people have got to take the duct tape off their ass.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, see,
Yes.
I'm a nice guy. I made sure that you were done drinking before I said that. And the reason I say that is because too many people. Now, I know Jason Hawes, and I know a lot of people, personally. kind of kicking back and having been like a witness on, one of their shows or a couple of their shows now. And what I see is like too many people like get into that mindset where people are just like so serious and
Yeah.
I and being a historian of spiritualist religions in the context, especially with the Fox family, you know, the house actually being about an hour and a half away from my own home, and I've gone there many times to visit the foundations. You know, too many people forget that it doesn't have to be serious. Yes, okay, yes, we do know, and we're going to talk about some negative stuff. This is serious stuff when we start talking about that. But to go out there and look and enjoy what we do,
Yeah.
and I don't say it's a thrill ride, but to be able to go and get that positive two-way communication, that's what we're looking for.
Right.
Sometimes you have to be lighthearted, and sometimes you have to be fun. The best EVPs I've always had are when we go and we count to six, we'll count to five, and you get a little voice that says six, and you're like, holy crap. And
Yeah.
we're not being, did someone kill you in this whole thing? We're not doing that. We're actually going there and allowing us to be two-way. And I think, and again, as a medium myself, I found that love and joy will always help bring in that two-way communication. And that's
Yeah.
what I love what you're doing. And people are missing that. Hey, you know what? Let me ask you this. Let's talk a little bit about Hinsdale House. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Hinsdale is one of my favorite places. I, I'll tell you how I first found out about it. There was a book on thrift books, before thrift books, whatever it was, used books online for 50 cents. And it was, it was Clara Miller's book about, about the haunting there. And I had it on my bookshelf for years. And I finally picked it up and read it and went, oh my God, this is in the Southern Tier. I found out about it. And the Mishniks had owned it, and they were still living. And I kind of was, trying to get a hold of them, and Joe passed away, and then I didn't want to bother. And then eventually, you know, you know, Mrs. Mishnik passed away, and the house was abandoned. And my friend Joe from Paranormal Oddities in Depew, New York, Transit Road, just in case anybody's wandering by today, uh, we got permission actually to go up and investigate the place. And by this time, vandals have been blowing out windows and really, really destroying it. And this was like about 2011.
Oh wow.
And I won't say evidence, but the personal experience of being there was amazing. It was amazing to me. And it's one of those houses, it's one of those locations that certain people, it gets into your soul. That's how I could describe it. It
Yeah.
gets into your soul so that it calls you back. It just keeps calling you back. And to me, it's one, and I'm so glad that Dan Kless, who is in the room tonight, glad Dan Kless purchased this house and has saved this house, because in Western New York and many other places, we are quick to get rid of our mythology. We bulldoze mythology. And he was able to save probably one of the most unbelievable stories
Yeah.
that of the century, this haunted location in Western New York. So when you went up there, what was it like when you went into the house?
When I walked in, it was like a shock to my system. Like I could feel, like I felt everything all at once. It felt almost like walking into a brick wall, and like it was electrifying and it was icy. And I remember Billy was in there, and there was Victoria and her friend from Canada had already shown up, and so we were waiting for the other people from the group. And so I'm walking around the property and walking around the house and just looking at everything because again, I'm still new in the field, and this is a location that I never ever thought I would see face to face, let alone step foot inside and get to spend a full 3 days, 2 nights in. So I'm just like soaking it up, but I'm feeling everything. Like it was like a living, it felt like walking into
Yes.
a living organism. I mean, that's the only way
Yes.
I know how to describe it, because I could hear and I could feel and I remember my hand being just slightly caressed, and there was a scent, and it was overwhelming, but it was a good overwhelming. It was just like I'm home. Like it made me feel validated with what I had been feeling with my, learning my abilities all over again. And the door being knocked down and getting to experience everything was just, it was a breath of fresh air, in all honesty. Did Hinsdale give me my most terrifying experience I've ever had in my life so far? Yes, but it is one of
Wow.
my most favorite stories to tell, and it's an experience that I felt was, when I think back on it, I felt like that experience was actually created just for me, because I slept both nights in Mary's room. And I know a lot of people are like, we're not doing Mary's room.
2011, we're exploring the house, Joe and I. 2011, we're every inch, because they were going to bulldoze it. They were already planning on bulldozing it. So we are going to videotape and photograph every inch of that house. I walked into Mary's room. Now there's no power in this house, no heat. The vandals had stolen the furnace. All the copper piping was gone. And I walked in there, and I, right from the very, very, very first uh, time I walked into Mary's room, it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was nausea, and the exorcists call it the gift of discernment. I got it right in the solar plexus. I was like, nope, I don't like this. Nope. And I've been to a lot of places, and when you get that, it's like, nope, this is the real deal right here. No,
Yep.
I don't know, and I remember backing out of that room. I always remember backing out of that room, and like when I think, oh, it was for paranormal lockdown. So they brought me in, and Nick Groff and I, my friend Kat Weidman, what I always call it Weidman. Um, I always remember telling Nick, listen, I'm just going to tell you something. I would sleep out here, but I'd never sleep in that room. So you know what, kid, you got kahunas, because I can't do it. I could not do that. And by the way, Stephen Intermill is in the room, and he is the curator of the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic in Cleveland, Ohio. He's a good friend, and Ray Buckland was a good friend of mine too. So just to let everybody know. And Jackie Chandra is in the room, and she's actually the granddaughter of the Mishniks, the last people that actually lived in that house.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, and she is so sweet. She's such a sweet lady, and she's listening in today. So I just
Hi,
wanted to make sure that
Jackie.
I mentioned her.
Oh,
But
that's awesome. Hi, Jackie. Yeah, Mary's room. Okay, like I won't lie, because like I'm not one to run or scream. Like I refuse to be a screamer. I refuse to be a runner. I might walk out of a room, but I always make sure I go back into where I was.
yes,
And having seen Paranormal Lockdown and seeing what Nick Groff had gone through, I won't lie. I had my fuzzy pajama bottoms on. I had my Be Like Gray hoodie on. Um, I slept with my tennis shoes on, though, people. I will not lie.
that a girl, that a girl. Listen, I can sleep in my pajamas, but I have my Doc Martens on just to be on the safe
I
side.
have
I'm
my
ready to
Chucks
run.
on. Yes, I have my Chucks on. I'm laying in the fetal position on my left side both nights, and I'm looking at the dolls, and I'm like, if I have to, Lord forbid, if a Nick Groff experience happens, I don't know how I'm going to react to it. I want to think I'm not going to run, but if I have to run, I am prepared. Yeah, and I ended up flying because like the first night I was there, Nick's lady, he's realizing we just kept that up. So yeah, everybody, Nick set up my name and everything, as if you can't tell. So
it's
the
perfect though. It's perfect.
it is. It's great. So thank you, babe. But the first night I slept in Mary's room. Now, if you've never been to Hinsdale, one of the telling signs, and even Billy mentioned this, which I was kind of like, wow, is the flies. The
Oh yeah.
flies,
Oh
when
my
the
God.
flies
Yeah.
get active, like ish is about to get real. And these flies are not your typical house flies, people. Let me tell you, these flies are like the
They're
size of
about that big. They're about that
they're
big.
yeah, they're like
They're
here.
huge. They are huge. They're big fat
They're like
black flies.
pebbles. They're like pebbles.
Yeah.
And these things turn into Japanese kamikaze pilots when shit's about to get real. And
Yes,
they
it
start
does.
they attack your face. They don't go for your neck or your arms. No, they go for like your eye sockets, your nose, your
Yep.
mouth. They're
Yep.
bouncing off your cheekbones. And these suckers are like, they hurt. They go for intent and they bounce and it's like you see like the little Japanese pilot going and he's going back up and then he's coming right back at you and you're going, stop.
Yes. Yes.
Like, and so like the first night the room was quiet, it was peaceful. I was like, I'm gonna sleep. I remember Dan came out the second night and investigated with us, and I even asked, I was like, what mattress is on in Mary's room? Because that is like the best sleep I have gotten. And I thought his jaw was gonna hit the ground because he just was like, it is a very comfortable mattress, people. You are missing out if you have not slept in Mary's room. But the second night we go and we lay down and we're in bed before like 3 o'clock. I'm actually texting Nick and I'm saying goodnight. And you start hearing knocking coming from inside the closet in Claire's room, right? And I'm like, damn it. Like,
And Clara's room, just to let everybody know, Clara's room is what is the master bedroom, second floor.
yes,
And Mary's room, the only way to get to Mary's room is through the master bedroom.
yes.
So just to let everybody know, you will have to walk in and then it's to the right.
Yes. So, and there's a desk in the master bedroom that has one of those old fashioned tiny little, looks like it could be an oil lamp, but it's not. It's electric, but it's got the little key turn to where if you turn it one way, both the top and the bottom light. If you turn it
Yep.
another, just the bottom will have the soft glow. You turn it again, it turns off. And so we had the soft glow going on. And so I'm like, crap. Like, and I'm hearing the knocking. As soon as the knocking stops, knocking starts on the outside of the big bedroom windows. Now, if you have
That's
not
common.
seen,
That's common. Yeah.
right, but if you have not seen Hinsdale, people, and this is what's going through my head because there's no way to get to these windows. I'm thinking some drunk high school kid has been dared to drag a ladder to this window and we're screwed, or there's a cryptid outside and then I'm really screwed because there is reports of cryptid activity,
Yes.
up there. I heard stuff the night before. We had when you're on the property, I was behind the house the first night and I'm facing where the pond is. So if you're facing the house from like where the street dead ends out front, you're going to face the house. And so then immediately to like facing the house, to the left is a pond, to the right is a field. Behind the house would be the hill where you go up for the giving tree to pay homage and respect to the spirits. Um, I'm standing outside behind the house with another guy. We're having a quick smoke, and I'm facing the pond. I hear what sounds like an owl mixed with like a coyote coming from the giving tree. It circles to in front of me, makes the noise again, goes in front of the house, makes the noise again, and comes behind me, making the noise again, all under 30 seconds. I don't run from the dead, but I sure as hell didn't know what that was. And I did start sidestepping back to the house. I will not lie. Okay. I
Yes.
was like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Listen, the dead'll never hurt you. It's the living. All
It,
the and I don't mess with anything that I know could eat me. That's the other thing.
exactly. How many people have you heard survive from a skinwalker? I mean, we don't really hear anything except for the YouTube people that want the clickbait. But I mean, besides, I'm not going off of YouTube standards. I just know that that's a big no in my book and a big nope and a hell no. So I go inside. But the second night, so I'm laying in bed and the knocking is on the outside of the windows and it stops. And I'm like, okay. And at this
Yeah.
point, I'm frozen. I'm terrified. For the investigator in me is going, get your damn phone out and start recording, you idiot. I've got my phone next to me, but I can't move. Like I'm petrified. I'm for whatever reason, and it's like, and I'm trying to make sense. At the same time, I'm yelling at myself, pick up your phone and start recording. I'm analyzing why can't I not move? Like, why am I so terrified right now? And the knocking, now mind you, also, I forgot this. There's a married couple sleeping in the big bed in the big bedroom, and they're through it all.
Yep. Oh
So
yeah.
this is why I feel
Oh
like
yeah.
this was made for me. I felt like it was like that. I felt like the spirits were kind of acknowledging, like, "Hey, you're here. We know you can talk to us. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna put a show on for you." Is what it felt like. And I mean, when I look back on it now, it's taken me, I was there October 21st, 22nd, 23rd. So it's taken me since then to come to grips and understand, because you got to analyze everything. You got to process and be like, wow, it scared the shit out of me. But when I start thinking back on it, it's like the pieces of the puzzle start falling together with Hinsdale. You know, like
Exactly.
when Hinsdale loves you,
Exactly.
it puts on a show for you. I
Oh
fully
yeah.
believe. I believe it will give you the best haunting of your life as well. Um, so the knocking starts inside now when the knocking
I love that.
outside stops,
I
and it's
love
on the
that.
wall,
Oh, it's great, isn't
right?
it? Oh, it's just that's
It's
the best.
spooky.
I just go crazy.
It
I'm like,
is.
this is old school. Yeah, I love this.
Again, I wish I had this on camera, but I was terrified, people, sorry. So, it
I just
starts
start
on
laughing when that happens. I get all
the
excited. I get giddy.
Yeah, I wish I was like, but then at this point, the flies. Okay, the knocking starts on the wall with the closet. So now the flies are like kamikaze mode, like meow, and they're like pinging off my face. So like I'm able to move my blanket I'm able to move just enough to pull my blanket up, and my blanket is like circling my eyes so I can still see the dolls, and like my nose so I can breathe. But these flies are pinging off my
Yep.
blanket at this point, and I'm like,
Yep. Oh
this is
yeah, I
not
know
good.
that.
This
Yeah.
this is about to get real. And so the knocking goes all the way down the wall with the closet, hits the wall with the stairwell, wraps around, and when it hits the door frame, the knocking stops. And I'm like, it's not done. I like my heart starts racing, and I'm like, there's no way. Like my body, and this is one thing too, is I feel like it's a validation for me when I tell people your body is your number one tool when it comes to
Exactly.
investigating. Your body's
Exactly.
gonna pick up
Exactly.
on stuff so quick. My heart starts racing, and I'm going, crap. Now, Jeff Fent happens to have spent the night with us. I'm
I
so
love Jeff. Jeff's
I
a great
love
guy.
Jeff.
Jeff,
Jeff's
I'm getting,
amazing.
by the way, I'm going to have Jeff on the show, whether he likes it or not.
Oh, you totally got to have Jeff on the show. He is the bee's knees, especially with what he does with his boxes.
Oh
I
my God.
love the homage
Yeah,
he does for location.
he's phenomenal. He is probably one of the best box makers that, spirit box makers that I've ever met. And he's just such a great guy. And we actually ended up, I didn't know this, but he knew the people that, when we did the Portals episode, the
The
Enchanted
Enchanted
Church.
Castle. Yes.
He came and he did he knew them and worked there. And I came in, and next thing you know, the one of the owners said, I'd love to talk to him, and me get his number. Jeff goes like this, hold on, he's a friend of mine. And he called me. It was back and forth immediately,
That's
So
awesome.
you never know who you're going to run in with, and who everybody's connected with.
Who is connected exactly? That's one thing I love about our community is how we're all intertwined. We're all interwoven somehow,
Yes,
some way. We're
yes, we
all
are.
interwoven. Um, so the knocking stops at the door. My heart starts racing, and you start here walking up the stairs.
Yes.
And I'm
Oh, that's
like,
awesome.
so I'm listening, and I'm like gauging the sound of the footsteps. I'm like, hey, it's too heavy to be the two girls from Canada. It's too light to be the big guy who's staying in Mikey's room. This has got to be either Fint or the other guy, Jeremy. And I'm praying, please, because Jeff is like a big brother to me. And I'm like, please let this be Jeff. Let it be like a big brother joke. Ha ha. Like I'm going to scare my little sister type deal. And the stairs get they get to the very top of the stairs, and the footsteps stop. Now, the upstairs bedrooms, it's all solid wood floor, you guys. So I should have still heard clump, 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 clump. And I'm like, in my head, I'm still thinking, like, hope maybe he's got socks on. He's tiptoeing, like he's doing the Tom Cruise across the floor, like he's gonna like just slide in and get me. And at this point, I'm looking at the dolls, and I see that the dolls, it's not a shadow. The dolls go black, like something completely black and solid is now in
Yep.
front of the dolls, and
Yep.
I'm like,
Obscures the that whatever little light is in the room, just like it gets sucked out.
yeah,
It's
it,
amazing.
it's black. I mean, it is black, black, black. Like you cannot see through. It
Yeah.
is solid, like looking into
No
an
ambient
open
light
can of
whatsoever.
black
Yeah,
ink.
that's I love that.
And I'm just like, oh crap. Well, then there's the space between the table and the bed that's still light. Well, then that space starts filling up with black and it gets right next to my face. And I'm going, well, this ain't gonna. Hi, guys. And so, like, I can sense at this point something is standing right next to me. I can't see because I'm like this with the blanket and I'm looking at where the doll should be. I got my chucks on, people. So I'm looking and I can feel, like, when you can feel somebody moving next to you, like, I can sense that they have bent down next to me in their face level. And it, from the bowels of hell, it wasn't a growl, kind of like a growl. I get a, like this big exhale, but it's like long and guttural and it's male right in my face. And I'm like, I'm going to kill Jeff. Please be a human. Please be a human. Please be a human. I pull my blanket back and there's nobody. I don't think my feet hit the floor. I'm pretty sure I jumped straight from Mary's bed out the door into Clara's room. Okay. Like I flew.
Yep.
I'm standing there. Now the couple that is sleeping has finally woken up. And they're like, what's going on? And so I got to fill them in on everything. I turn around and I'm shaking, like hypothermic type shaking. I didn't even realize it. I knew my eyes had watered up, but like tears are just coming down my face from the terror of it all. And they're like, as soon as I get done telling them, we start hearing noises. Now, where I'm standing at the top of the stairs, also, you guys, there's another bedroom straight off. It's Laura's bedroom, tiny little. It's like a closet, is what this
Yeah.
room could be,
And
but
that's
they
and
fit a bed in there.
just as in for people context, you go up it's an old farmhouse, you go
Yeah,
up the stairs, and before you get to the top stair, you have, in order to get into, the master bedroom, you basically have to sidestep off into the master bedroom, or you have to sidestep like probably a second or third step the landing is only like that wide
yeah,
to
tiny
go
little.
into Laura's bedroom, which is on the right.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that can be a little discerning, because in the middle of the night, you get up and you're kind of turned around. You have to watch when you're walking around there, because you might be
Oh
able to
yeah.
slip.
Oh yeah. Like I was like, there's no way. Like I almost fell down the stairs when I was first walking around, just trying to get out of Laura's room because it's so easy to misgauge the step. I won't
Yes.
lie, I almost killed myself on the basement steps because I misgauged the step. I opened because to get to the basement, you're in the bathroom, and I opened up the basement door and I went to step and it was farther down than I thought. My butt went boom. Like I'm so glad I was in gymnastics and a cheerleader and I still have my flexibility because ass hit the ground. I'm holding on to the door frame for dear life and somebody's got the back of my hoodie. Like, and I'm just like, well, that was fun. And but it's the same concept with Laura's room. So
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
standing there and I can see down the stairwell into the kitchen. I can see directly into Laura's room. And of course, I'm still seeing the big black blob standing next to my bed. And I'm like, no, still hell no, not going in there. Still shaking, tears still streaming. And you hear this, it sounded like a potato chip bag crumpling. And I turn and I'm like, do y'all hear this? And they're like, yeah, it's just got to be somebody in the kitchen coming to check on us. You're being kind of loud. And I'm like, there's nobody in the kitchen, you guys. Like, nobody. And they're like, oh, well, it must be coming in Laura's room. And it can just stay in Laura's room. As soon as they say it can stay in Laura's room, you hear this thing drag. Like, literally, like it is clicking into the wall with claws is what it sounds like, and it drags itself up the wall, and then it sounds like it's going across the wall to the door frame.
Right.
I'm expecting this like nasty thing to peek around the door, and I'm like, hopefully they can run fast because I'm the first line of defense and I'm dead. Like this is gonna be bad. Nothing shows up. It takes another 10 minutes to calm down, but I went and I slept in Mary's room and I defeated it, and it didn't bring me down. So
I found that when I'm there, if we stay overnight or whatever, it's pretty calm with me. But you're talking to somebody like I was sleeping on the couch and a REM pod went off at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I said, "What's wrong with you? Can't you go and let me sleep till 7?" And it
eh,
stopped. And at 7 o'clock in the morning, the REM pod went off again to wake me up. So that's sort of the way I am when I'm on these places, at these places. But let's a lot of times I think the house picks up kind of what you want, and it tries to do its best to give you what it wants. Especially if you're up there, you get the right people up there, you got the right energy going on.
Yeah.
It's the right time of year, October. Of course, Western New York is crazy because you got a lot of static electricity in the air and stuff. So, I mean, it really, I think it gets a lot more receptive. But
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about sort of the little bit of the downside here, because a lot of people, they bandy around attachments. And I'm going to be honest with you, Brie. If I had a quarter for every time that somebody came up to me and said that they got an attachment, I could probably afford I don't know, two McDonald's burgers and a couple shakes, you know. But the idea is a lot of people come up to me and say that, and a lot of people
Right.
are always worried about picking up attachments and stuff. I got to tell you, I definitely believe you. I definitely believe you. You got that vibe. When you're telling me about it, I went, oh, okay. We have somebody that actually picked something up instead of someone who went home and they put their keys down in a place that they normally don't put their keys, and they
Yeah.
lost their keys and they blame it on an attachment or something like that. And when I asked you how long you had it, you were right in the parameters. So I said, yeah, okay, she had it. So let's talk about that a little bit. What happened with that?
Okay. So I know that for there was a spirit or spirits when we were at Hinsdale. We did Estes. I actually did a total of 3 Estes sessions while I was at Hinsdale. I did one on Friday night. I did a second one. And I did that in like the portal, the closet area. They actually ended up making me move to like right in front of Mary's room because I kept getting touched. And they didn't like the fact that I was getting touched. So they made me move. Um, I did a second one on Saturday upstairs in the portal because I kind of wanted to test a theory because when I was up there on Saturday night, I had gotten get out twice and then it had made fun of one of the people that was in the room because I watched my live back for when I did my Estes session. And I had talked to my friend Mecca and we both like kind of got the impression that the spirits weren't happy with some of the people that were up there, that the energy was not receptive to the
Right.
messages that they were trying to give. And you go somewhere to have a paranormal experience, but unfortunately a lot of people in the room were not listening. And like it even came through during my Estes session. You need to listen to Brie. She hears us, she hears things, she's talking to you. And they kept talking over. They weren't listening at all. And so for my second session, I brought 2 people upstairs that I felt were on the same openness as me, as
Right.
open as I felt could be. And I was like, I want to see if this works. I really want to see if we get more information. They didn't have to barely ask me any questions. It was just boom, information, information, information. I got names, I got dates, and it seemed to have gotten sexually graphic with me on Friday. And it picked back up on Saturday again. And it
It
actually brought
can.
Nick into it too. It was really weird. Um, and it did that again on my third session when I was downstairs in the living room with the during the sessions. It seemed like there was a male spirit there he kept calling me yummy. He kept, he was very attracted to me, and
There
for
you
some reason, it was
that those are your very first signs, especially if it becomes sexual.
yeah,
If the conversation becomes sexual, if they all of a sudden have like yummy is not an inappropriate nickname, but I would not call you yummy myself personally.
right,
Although next time we get together, I might, but I don't think I will because I don't want Nick slapping me. But I mean that's one of the big things that you have to always worry about because
yeah,
that's the way it starts.
yeah, yeah. Mecca's actually in chat. He just said it too. Yeah, yummy and baby. It kept calling me yummy and baby and like hot mama. Like it,
Yep.
it, it
Yep.
kept getting
Yep.
kind of possessive,
Yes,
and with
exactly.
me.
Yes.
And when I left, I did the whole sage, the front, the back, under my feet. You cannot, you must stay. You cannot leave.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I noticed though afterwards, I was waking up every morning at 8:05. I struggled to fall asleep. I kept feeling like something was still hovering right next to me. So when I think back on it, I wonder
Hmm.
if that spirit that came right next to me is was what was coming through on the Estes sessions and getting sexually aggressive and possessive over me.
Yes.
And I kept feeling like it would be like right here. And I would have like I don't remember my dreams. I have what I call deja vu moments. Like I
Right.
will have something and it'll trigger a memory and it's like a prophetic type dream. I might remember all of it, I might not remember it, and it might go to a certain point and then like another deja vu moment has to happen and I'll remember more later. Um but I would remember the Hinsdale moments, like, very vividly, and,
Vividly.
like,
Yep.
Nick started being in those dreams, and it was very vivid, the sexual abuse and the violence that would happen between me and Nick, and not Nick attacking me, but there would be, like, figures holding Nick, and I would be attacked by black shapes, and, when we got home, Nick deals with, cleaning residents and he's familiar with this type of stuff with what his paranormal group deals with. And so he was keeping an eye on me and would ask me periodically, how did you sleep? Well, are you still waking up at 8:05? Yeah, 8:05 every
Hmm.
day. Still struggling to sleep.
Yep.
I'm being woken up now. Like I feel like
Typical.
something's touching me now,
All the
is it like an
signs. All the
animal?
signs.
Yeah, is it
All
an
the
animal?
infestation signs trying to go and become parasitical, trying to get claws into the situation in order to make it worse.
Yeah.
That's a lot of times what happens.
Oh, yeah, and then when we
Yeah.
ended up at Bel Air, right before OSR, when we finally got to meet, it was like the spirit it would follow me from location to location. It would come through on Necrophonic. It would come through
Yep.
during Estes. It would come through on Spirit Box.
Yep.
And it completely hijacked at Bel Air. I could
Typical.
walk in and I could feel
Typical.
Bel Air, but I could feel almost like Bel Air at times was being suffocated. To the point where Friday night, Jen, one of the founders of Bump in the Night, she's under doing Estes. I've got my Necrophonic app running in my boo box. And, my name, we got to the point where it was like, it was annoying. I was so tired of hearing my name. And she's under Estes and she's like, Brie, where the hell is Brie? And I'm like, yeah, I'm right here. And she's like, people are talking. So I start making fun and I'm like, start singing, off key, let's give them something to talk about. And she's like, Brie, listen, join us. And then like Necrophonic goes, you are. And then she goes, a whore. And I'm like, do we have to be vulgar? Because like it had been doing that
Yep.
all night.
Yep.
Like calling me a whore, but then saying, oh, we love your voice. We love you. You're pretty, but you're a whore. And I'm like, stop, like it's getting annoying.
Yeah.
And then Jen yells
And
at
they do
me.
that. And
Oh
they do
yeah,
that.
they
And
do
you
that
know,
to get to you.
and they you know what? They're looking for that little in. That's what it
They
is.
are. They're looking for that
Yeah.
for sure. And what makes me believe that Bel Air is a living, sentient structure is that I noticed how it affected everybody differently.
Mm-hmm.
Like one girl
Yep.
on the team, I think I only saw her awake for 5 hours. She slept literally all weekend. Nick was exhausted. He slept until like Saturday, like past noon. He slept for a long time into Sunday as well. And I've never seen him sleep like that before. And I was like, this is kind of odd. Like, and he was like, I'm so tired. And he got kind of grumpy. The house made me super anxious. For whatever reason, my
Mm-hmm.
anxiety went through the
Mm-hmm.
damn roof, which made me like
Mm-hmm.
kind of clingy and like needy. Like, I didn't know how to vocalize what I was feeling. I didn't know how to, because
Typical.
yeah, it was very weird for
Typical.
me. And I fully believe that because my emotions were taken to a whole new level from just Bel Air itself. What was following me was like, I've got my end. I've got you. And so it goes, join us. She ends up yelling, Brie. She has no recollection of yelling my name until I played it back for her and she's like, I yelled at you. I don't remember yelling at you. And that wasn't even 3 minutes before I said, pull her out. I actually had it stopped
Yeah.
because it goes, Brie, listen, it's a done deal. And I'm like, that's it. I'm done. Like, I don't know what's being said, but I'm not giving it a voice anymore. We need to cut this out.
Exactly. That's what you have to do. People don't
Yeah.
realize that because that's common sense. You're not going to invite somebody into your house, be abused, and then keep them there.
Right.
And that's where people, in the paranormal community screws up, because all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I'm getting all of this. And it's like, well, wait a minute. This is negative, kid. This is negative. Use your common sense. This is not something
Yeah,
that you want to be messing with. This is something that's either A, trying to scare you, or B, a parasitical that's going to try to, absorb energy, like, an energy vampire, that sort of thing.
yeah,
And you have to have those boundaries, and you have to be in total control of all spiritual matters that you're working with at that time.
yeah,
And see, you did the right thing. No, let's stop it right now. We're done. We're
yeah,
done. My what I tell it, what I say out loud is, hey, listen, I'm your voice box. Shut up. We're done.
yeah.
And usually, well, it does stop when I say it, but I mean, it's like, you did the right thing on that. You have
Thank
to.
you. Yeah, it was difficult, and so like we kind of regrouped. We all went to bed, and um, the next night we actually had one of the guys, Mikey. He went up to the crawl space in the attic, and we sat in the seance room, and we had Kristen Lee that night, the owner of
Mm-hmm.
Bel Air, and we also had Sean Austin. Now, for those who don't know, which everybody I'm sure at this point knows, but just in case, Sean Austin is a medium. So
Right.
what was cool is that Sean and I were actually validating each other. Like I would feel something on my right, he'd be like, "It's my right." He would say, "I'm feeling something here." I'd be like, "I have it here." Like we were able to completely validate each other's experiences, which was really cool. I've only had that happen with one other person since I've started realizing my abilities. And but it kept being behind me. It kept being like here.
Yep.
And so Jen's husband, Sean, is like, "Are you attached to Brie? Like you've messed with her all last night. You're messing with her tonight." And you hear and it comes through, Mikey, without skipping a beat, goes, like all like sensual and sexual. And I'm like, well, that's encouraging. And, trying to break the ice. And I'm kind of like going, oh
Right.
shit. Nick leans over and Nick's like, "Are you from Hinsdale?" There's a pause. And Mikey comes through and goes, "I am." And I'm like, that's all the validation I need. And but I really feel that with my
That's it.
heightened sense of anxiety from the house, that was its way to come in and try to attach to me. And
Exactly. And
I
that's
mean,
how it works.
yeah,
People don't realize that, if you are anxious, if you are scared, that's what a parasitical spirit's trying to grab a hold of you.
yeah,
And excuse me, these attachments go out of their way to make you uncomfortable. They go out of their way so that they can find that chink in your armor so that they can get in. It's like with me, like I said, it's like, I just go, done. You're done. And I mean, I've been doing this long enough so that, I know 100% my own belief system. It's done. But these things turn around and they look for that. And can we keep
yeah.
you on? Can we talk to you just like an extra fifth or just a few extra minutes?
Oh yeah, I
Because
don't.
because
It's
we're
fine.
because
Yeah, we
we're
can
running
stay extra.
because
Yeah, we
because
can
we're
do
running
extra.
because it's already, we've got 7 minutes left.
Yeah, we
So
can
I
go
don't want
long.
to.
That's
I,
fine.
I I don't want to go and like and shorten this, but I got to ask you, this is a big thing because we're almost out of time here, which is like incredible. Uh, how did you get rid of it? Did it just disappear? Usually, because like with me, my experience that they dissipate after a while when they get bored, when you don't give it what it wants. So how did it kind of like dissipate with you?
So going through a few more investigations and seeing that it came through. That it was still bothering me. I was still having issues with sleeping, still having issues with Hinsdale. Now, I feel a Hinsdale, like a pull to Hinsdale still, but I feel like it's not
Yep. Yep.
on that level. I feel like it's more like it's like a spiritual, like this is like a second home to me type deal. Like I love
Hmm.
Hinsdale. It might sound sick, but I do. I love Hinsdale. Um
There's a lot of us like that.
yeah, sorry. Frog in my throat. I apologize. So Nick and I were talking, and he's like, "I need to get you in to my friend Kara, who's a Reiki master." And so I got in and did a
Right.
holy fire Reiki session.
It's a great way to do it.
And she actually, the way she operates, she has her spirit guides go to my spirit guides and try to figure stuff out. And she got that he was really nasty, kind of Freddy Kruegerish. She even got the word yummy, which is what validated for me that she was on her game, that she
Yep.
knew what she was doing. I was like, okay, I've not mentioned that word to anybody unless you've watched my lives, and she was not a friend of mine until she did my session. So I'm like, there's no way she would have known.
Hmm.
Um, and like it ended up going after her. Like
Of course.
the
Of
morning
course.
of the day, like it started, like she started feeling it touching her, and she was like, no, like she had to tell it to stop and put her boundaries up. And we got in there, and she had to, when she was doing my alignment with my chakras and everything, she actually had to chase it. And it got to the point where, as I'm laying there, it literally felt like a hand from right under my chin down to my collarbone just tightened. And like, I remember arching my back. Like I'm in my trance. I'm seeing my beautiful vision. I'm hearing all this beautiful stuff. But I remember having to arch my back and trying desperately to breathe because it just felt like this hand clamping, and
Yes.
then the hand moved, and then it felt like it was just a couple fingers here, and then it stopped, and then it felt like a couple fingers here, and then it was
Yep.
completely gone. And she
Yep.
had her dogs in the room, and her dogs and the birds, she's got two parrots in her dining room, they went ape shit, and I knew that it was gone.
Yep.
But she told me it was, she was like, this thing was nasty. And she gave a physical description. And the irony of it was, like, she described it more like Norman Bates. He was very well to do, very proper. He was a businessman. But behind closed doors, there was murderous intention. There was a lot of scandal. There was a lot of like
Hmm.
sexual assaults. And I've talked to somebody that actually like is close to Hinsdale, and she was like, you know what that reminds me of? And I was like, yeah. And and so like I don't know if I should go that far and say what she said it is, because there's no way to 100% prove,
Exactly.
and I don't want to give
Exactly.
voice to it in case it
Right.
is. I don't feel like we should give voice to those nasty little leeches, but I definitely feel it's important to talk about attachments, because there is not, I from what I have seen in my short time being a working person within the community, within the field, there's not a lot of actual knowledge about attachments. And
There's a
it's
lot
kind of
of
like a
hearsay. There's a lot of
yeah,
hearsay. There's so much hearsay out there. And as someone who has worked with them, and I've gotten one in all the years that I've done stuff. And out of all those years, I hear it all the time. I got the attachment. But did you? But did you?
right,
And a lot of times it's just common stuff that happens, and it really isn't anything. But it has to, in order to be a true attachment, it has to build. And see, attachments work on the same level as temporal possession attempts, where they start like, now it used to be infestation, where it's starting to make you uncomfortable and you're hearing stuff, and keeps you up at night. But I was talking to a few people, and I was talking to an exorcist just a couple of years ago when we were really discussing some cases. He said he's finding it a little bit earlier than infestation. I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Obsession. People who are obsessed with the paranormal. What
ooh,
these negative little entities, vibrational or energetic personalities are looking for are is that gateway in. And so what they're looking at are people who become obsessed with it, or they think they can scare something that people, they'll try to they'll just try to keep poking everybody until they find somebody that gets anxiety, that is a little scared of it, and then that's what will happen. And then you get something nasty like that especially with women, that's going to go and start being sexually inappropriate, and it's going to start showing its true, it's true colors. It's like
yeah,
this. It's like Zozo. I mean,
yeah,
every time I pick up a Ouija board planchette, it spells out Zozo with me, and it's like, you're not Zozo. Get lost. But Zozo is a trickster, and Zozo will turn around and be a real nice guy, and then all of a sudden, hey, can you do something for me? And then it gets nasty. The minute you give it any kind of, okay, you can do that. Same thing with possession. You, in order to be possessed, whether full-time or temporal, you have to be able to give it, some kind of okay.
right,
And what I love about your story, and that's the reason I know it's true, is you didn't give it that, and it kept trying to go, and it kept just picking at you, picking at you, picking at you, and you didn't give into it, and that is what really because people are like, well, if this is the case, maybe we can come to some halfway point or something. No, there's no
Correct.
halfway point. Go, you're out of here. Get lost. No, I'm cutting off communication. No, every time something happens, go. And that's what I loved about it. And that's when, and it's so funny because the minute we just talked about it briefly, face to face, I said, "Oh no, yeah, this is a true story. This is the real deal."
Oh yeah.
Hey, we're almost out of time. Brie, I know you got so much going on,
Yes.
because we're tripping with Brie tonight. Just
Yes.
let you guys know listen, we've been just hanging and tripping with Brie. So tripping with Brie here, otherwise known as alias Nick's old lady. Brie, tell us all about what you're doing, what's going on in the wild world of Brie, and how everybody can watch you and follow you, because it is fascinating.
Okay, so I am starting on a whole new venture starting this Sunday. For anybody who has followed me, I just wrapped up a collaboration with Chris Smith from Hulu's Monster Inside, which brings out the truth of McCamey Manor, and they're trying to bring down Russ, who ran McCamey Manor. Um, Chris and I enjoyed what we did so much that we have now started Remotely Paranormal, and this Sunday will be the very first run of it at the
Awesome.
Mysterious
That's
Monroe
awesome.
House.
That's awesome.
So you're going to want to catch that. It's a live event. It'll be going across all platforms on Facebook and YouTube. I'll also be going live later on TikTok. And if you saw what we did at Wildwood when we collabed,
Which is
it,
a fantastic site in Salamanca, New York. Just let everybody know. I love that place.
love, I love Wildwood. I will be seeing Wildwood, I'm sure, again in my future. Um, so yeah, if you saw that, then you will know what we're doing. Remotely Paranormal. For those who don't know, Chris is going to be safely at home behind the keyboard of his computer, telling me what I need to be doing as I stay overnight in a haunted location by myself.
That's
So
awesome. That's
we are
awesome.
kicking down some doors in the paranormal community, people, and we're showing women that we can be just as badass as these men out there. So
No,
no offense,
no,
guys,
no,
but
no,
we're gonna
no,
do
no,
it.
no, no, no. Let me just go and clear the air on this one.
Yeah.
I know a lot of wussy guys that are paranormal investigators. I know a lot of women that I would rather go to a haunted location with than a lot of these guys, because a lot of these guys have a habit of having to pack extra underwear with them. I happen to be one of them, but I'm old. I have a problem. But I mean, it's just the way it is. A lot of, and the other thing that I really like is the fact that you're actually doing this and you're bringing women, the whole concept of bringing women in the paranormal out. I mean, I know Amanda Wolmer and uh, 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 Alex Mozzo and some really wonderful people out there. And I was blessed to know the late Rosemary Ellen Guiley. And for me, Rosemary Ellen Guiley was one of those people she was such a mover and shaker, and she would never realized how she elevated women in this field. And what I find interesting is that when she passed a couple years ago, it left this huge void.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting finally. And again, there's a lot of guys that are just like being stupid, and being, very, very chauvinist and that. But I find that I'm starting to see more women take really a lead role in the paranormal. And that's what we need. And I'm going to be honest with you, too many great female investigators are relegated to the shadows.
Yeah.
And let's face it, look at TV.
Yeah.
Almost every single show, there's always a male that's in charge.
Yeah.
And to me, that's ridiculous. That
Yeah.
really is ridiculous. So I love what you're doing, and I think that's probably it's probably, to be honest with you, it's probably the first tiny baby step of what you're going to end up eventually doing. And
Yeah.
I could do a Karnak thing and go, I predict, but I will say that common sense tells me that you're going to go a lot farther than what you think you're going to do. So I think it's
Well, thank you.
fantastic.
I'm excited for this, especially because January is going to be huge.
It
I'm
is.
I'm I'm waiting on a location to confirm, and you're gonna see Remotely Paranormal do something. And yes, I'm already as a female doing Oh, I love you, Lauren. Thank you.
I love
I'm
her.
already doing something that hasn't been done, but we're gonna take it to a whole new level in January with remotely paranormal. And I just have to wait to get my last location confirmed. And once it's confirmed, then the promos will start rolling out for what is going to go, and it's going to be a bomb. We're dropping a bomb on the paranormal. It's going to be
It's gonna be fun.
amazing. Yeah,
I know I know what's going
you
on,
know what's
and
going on. I told you so.
you know, I can't listen. This is like you notice the two of us. It's almost like a confessional. It should have like a little drape here over here.
Right?
You should have a little drape over here, so we can you can say 20 Hail Marys if you want.
All right. All right. He's
It's-
got a rosary around here somewhere.
no. You saw I sent you a picture of the collection room. There's
Yes.
stuff all over the place. You never know what's blessed and what's not blessed over there. Hey, Brie, hang on for a couple minutes. I want to thank you properly. And
Okay.
really great show. You did fantastic. I am so thrilled and humbled that you came on the show, and it was just a lot of fun. And I know we'll see each other again, and we'll stumble into some location somewhere together. So
Oh
that's going to
yeah.
be a lot of fun. And listen, and Nick, he's the king. Just telling you, he's the king. So you can
Oh,
tell him that if he's not listening right now, guys. So I'll be right back. Take care. Thank you again for being on the show.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Guys, isn't she delight? She's so great. And I'm so thrilled that she decided to come on the show. And when I met her up at Mansfield, I knew she was the real deal. I loved what she was doing. I liked her plan. She had a great vibe to her. And she's just one of those people that is infectious in a good way. I really respect what she's doing. The whole idea of pushing women to the forefront in the paranormal world is a tough thing. It is a tough thing. And there are a couple women right now that I just, can't say enough about. And they are fulfilling that role that Rosemary Ellen Guiley left to us. So guys, remember, be good, hang out, be just real. And I'll see you next week. Why? Because we're here where the elite meet next to the dumpster transfer station. Take care, guys. Be back in a couple seconds. I shouldn't say be back. Be back next week. My brain, I think I'm on AM radio again. Take care, guys. Bye bye.